So you're very welcome. I suppose hiding in plain sight, I explained to somebody earlier that cryptogams are generally small things, and being 5'2", I was naturally inclined towards other small things, I guess, or being low to the ground. I'm there with the kids, and we managed to spot things, and we got interested in those a long time ago. So I think it's not just Woodlands of Ireland and this conference being 20 years old, but some of us are fihiblinig fuss with this subject matter as well. Okay, so what are they? Cryptogams. They're the spore producers. So in botany, they're not the pollen producers, they're the other ones, the lower plants as they were. And David Minter came up with the phrase for the fungal partners in all of this as the orphans of Rio. So the Rio conference did not really include fungi in their remit, and therefore a lot of fungi have been left behind in the conservation story. So algae, marine and terrestrial algae, or land-dwelling algae. Fungi, we have both lichenized fungi and non-lichenized, and lichenized fungi grow with variously algae, cyanobacteria, and now we know yeasts as well. They're not just on the surface. Bryophytes include the mosses, liverworts, and we won't need to worry about hornworts very much here. And ferns, we have the vascular cryptogams. So they're the odd one out in the group. They're pteridophytes. So they are, yeah, we'll leave it at that. I'll keep moving. So spores and pollen, we're looking at ascom. I see spores here just to show the kind of more extreme end, perhaps, of the difference. And pollen can tend to be spiky. It likes to cling on to things. So the number of species per group in Ireland that we're aware of to date or have been recorded. The algae register in their thousands. The bryophytes, 730. Don't quote me on this kind of roundabout figure, it changes over time. The fungi, including lichens, around about 5,500, a little bit more than that now. The ferns, around about 30. That's my weak point, so don't press me on it. And the vascular plants, just for comparison, are running at about 815. So when you think about botany in Ireland and its emphasis, think again. Okay. With other biological groups, then, you just see how this continues. There's a general ignorance of the fungi, in particular. The bryophytes in Ireland are pretty well taken care of now, a little bit better than in the past. So we won't emphasize them today, probably because I don't know as much about bryophytes either. And again, the vascular plants are steaming on ahead. So they're well known. There isn't that much to know more in the vascular plant domain. However, there's a big gap, and there's a quote from David Hawkesworth some years back that there's probably about 1.5 million fungi in the world. So we don't know many of them as yet. And genetics, barcoding is really the way ahead with a lot of that. So just for comparison, birds, mammals, and then huge insects as well. We don't have a speaker on insects, and that's a pity because it's a whole other realm as well. Okay, so sources that you would go to find out about cryptogamic botany. NBDC in Waterford, obviously, and it incorporates an awful lot of data from other organisations. NBN and CEDAR for the UK. And then there's various university theses, publications, websites, Michael Gyrie's Algabase, for instance, and herbarium material. Historic work, then, Admiral Jones's herbarium is within the National Herbarium of Ireland, DBN, but it's a discrete collection in its own right. And then our own work. So over the years, Howard Fox and I have been looking at cryptogams all over the country and internationally, and hosting international field meetings of note, where really great people have come and shown us what to do and what to look at and how to identify things. Although Howard taught me an awful lot, actually, himself. Tree climbing, of course, is one way to get to know more about the trees, the species living up in the canopy of the forest. There's a fox in there climbing a tree. I guess Howard did some of that in the past. I don't know if the bears are hunting for lichens up in the canopy, but probably. doubt it. And Steve Sillett, down in the bottom corner with the red hat, they climb giant redwoods and occasionally fall out of them and survive. And it's an amazing kind of research field that they've developed over the years. So I'd like you to come with me through the magic door/gates. If you're of a certain age and you remember Bosco, there was this diddly music where you kind of come with me through the magic door and we'll go explore together. So I just want to point out that they're not boring and green or grey all the time. There's just some really, really interesting species here. And I'll just remind myself of the names because I'll give you the first name anyway. Dribbling water. So, first off, we have a peltiger over in the corner. Then we have what was Tirana, and all of the names are changing, which is a really good time to get into cryptogamic botany, and the fungi in particular, because there's an awful lot of genetic revolutionary stuff going on. New orders are being described. And so you're starting with fresh names, where some of us have to forget the old names, get with the new ones, and it's just a nightmare. So Tirana, as I knew it, is now Pulcherissima, which is a beautiful thing, and it's blue, Ceruleum. So if you know a little bit of Latin, it'll help, or vice versa, it'll help you learn some Latin. Okay, and then in the other corner here, we have Hazel Wells at the top corner on the right. That is oh God, Hymenocete corrugatum. Down at the bottom, we have the beautiful elf cup, the emerald elf cup. And then we have Ascocrine sarcoides. Now, absolutely everything grows primarily on native trees, I hasten to add, as I look at Hypoxylum fuscum in the bottom left corner. It's brown, so we won't worry about it too much. Okay, then we have Trachyla ilicis on a little leaf of holly. These are the reclaimers, the recyclers, things that put the vim back into the soil in a woodland. So Loberia pulmonaria, Loberia virens with the red dots up in the top middle. And then beside it, it could be a number of things, but it is in the Sticta group. Yeah, Sticta lobata. Then Inonotus Dryadius, the drippy bracket fungus. Down in the bottom corner, we have this side, we have Tuber aestivum, which a lot of people are interested in, the truffle. And then we have a myxomycete, we have a parasitic fungus on the black one at the bottom. The white parasite is a fungus growing on another fungus, Russula nigricans. And then we have Dryopteris dilatata in the corner, the fern, and Thuidium tamaracinum, a very, very pretty moss that grows on the floor of happy woods, we would think. So what use are cryptogams at all? So they're generally the recyclers of nutrients, filters of air. They provide access to more resources for a tree or a plant, so through the mycorrhizal associations in the root system. They give food occasionally, even to us, some mushrooms, shelter, protection for other species, including snails. Antibiotics, there's a lot of pharma interest, bioindicators, habitat quality, longevity, and change. So this is a monitoring cylindrat on a tree, and over time you can repeat these surveys and see about change. Dyeing, perfumes, things like that. Lichens in particular have secondary metabolites in them that against your skin can cause reactions. So they've gone out of fashion in the perfume trade a wee bit because of that. And they're early life analogues. I suppose we would like to think that they quietly add to a tourist experience of Ireland. And whether or not you ever see these things or notice them, you see them, but we scan things out of what we don't need. I think our brains get like that as we get older. We don't see them, but we sense them, I think. And then they provide conservation protection, or do they? So in the European situation, you have a Council for Conservation of Fungi, and Anders Dahlberg and others do great work there. Ireland is not on this list. So we need to do something about that, because there are many species, and we could be using these to help protect habitats. So where are cryptogams in the woods? We have Atelis schistys flavicans, kind of hiding in plain sight. It's a very golden lichen on this branch on the far side. I took a picture of this Fistulina hepatica, heroically growing in the crack in a wood, in some timber. And then in the bottom, we have Inocybe Geophila lillicina, just hiding there under the covers. Also, these things grow on cultural habitats, the built environment in or next to woods, often on boundaries where there's more light. This includes a whole range of things from mosses to lichens in particular, not so much the fungi. So the habitat kind of niches. Waterfalls in particular are fantastic because you have bare rock, you have water, obviously, you have air, you have mist, you have potentially good quality air and water meeting. And I think we tend to look at water quality, but the air quality or the suspended droplets of water matter an awful lot, particularly to lichens and mosses. Okay, just to have a glance around the whole subject, we're looking at Western woods. This is Europe wood, and there in the middle particularly is Lactarius vollemus. If you are near the front, you probably notice there are little white droplets off the underside of the gills, so hence Lactarius. Scots pine then, we're just following on from Alvin. This is in the west of Ireland, this particular Scots pine, but Coronation Plantation particularly stands out as a great habitat and a wonderful national resource. It's great for lichenicolous and late-stage tree trunk lichens and fungi. And just above that is a large body of Sporassus crispa, which is called the cauliflower fungus and is edible. How am I doing? Ah! Okay, gotta run. So oak woods, Quercus petraea, we have ferns. We have willow woods with Dagelia plumbea and various other lovely things. Willow woods, in our massive surveys over time, have stood out as the really, really important things. The habitat niche for wet woods. It's the midgiest, wettest, dampest, nastiest corners that are really the best. Hazelwoods, then Carolus avellana with a lovely thing called Arthonia cinnabarina. We're kind of biased. And of course, the lovely chanterelles in the middle as well. Then we come to ash woods, Frelanias, these wonderful liverworts that get our liver coloured, handily enough. We have another Loberia in the middle. And then we have a thing which I never think of the name of. It grows on mussel scale insect, young cases. And Howard... Merangium dureri. So Thomas Taylor is an Irish lichenologist in Kenmare in the 19th century. He died during the famine, which really put paid to his career. But he was older then, so it's not so bad. Don't be a GP during a famine. So cryptogams in Ireland. On other trees that I didn't get to feature, holly, we have the thing in the background there the whole time is Teletrema lepidinum, and it's barnacle fungus. I don't know if it ties in with the barnacles living in trees and flying away again. Barnacle geese. Yes, I'll stop now. Apple, Malus domestica. So people give out about things on apple trees and think lichens are killing them. They're not. The lichens are going to die when the trees die, and they know it, so they're trying to get off onto something else as quickly as they can. It's a war. I won't mention the others. I'm running. Riparian wetwoods. We have Delphi near Duloc. We have, on the other side, Glenarm Estate in Northern Ireland. And in the middle, we have an algal-covered body of ash, I think, with suspended material. So during floods, you get material up in the tree, but you also get a kind of a line sometimes of where things won't grow below, which is useful for OPW monitoring, I'm sure, into the future. Irish scientists working on cryptogams, not too many of us, won't dwell on that, but things can be very easily hidden in plain sight when there aren't people looking at them. Initiatives in Europe, then we have lots of things going on. I'll just mention the CBS gnaw, because that's kind of hard to understand. There's a Schimmelkultur collection of fungal material in a lab in Amsterdam, and it's a huge European resource. if you ever want to do anything, you could order a fungus and just specify exactly what you want. And threats, okay. So empty niche. If I don't say anything else today, empty niche is a problem where there's a lack of continuity, things have been cut out of a wood. You get nothing on these wonderful hazel, and on the other side, Ilex aquifolium. Honey fungus, ivy, heterohelix, other lianes, traveller's joy. Pollution, we've got eutrophication causing Desmococcus albaceus, and diseases coming in. Ash dieback, the implications, and there are winners. The one in the middle is Inonotus ispidus. It was rare in Ireland 10 years ago, and now it's growing in population. Opportunities. John Cross taking pictures. Touroid, I think, rather than tourist, but there is the opportunity to really value these things. Some of the training courses that might be on offer. Learning what's safe to eat, what's not safe to eat. And then magical places that we have been and really enjoy, and maybe you can too, for these particular organisms. Even the dog enjoyed it. And I'd just like to say thanks to all of these people, because they're all amazing and they facilitate us and make life possible. And thank you very, very much. Sorry for the rush at the end.